We're going to call our meeting to order, the Parks Commission, for August 1st, 2024. And the second item is approval of the minutes for June 20th. And I'll move to approve the minutes with a couple of minor edits on 5D. There seemed to just be something that went on with the minutes where phrases were doubled up. So in 5D, the words 2025 PRF proposed operating budget is there twice. And then also for that item, if we can change the PRF to Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. And then on 7A through D, in the Recreation report, that's repeated on each line, every one of them. And 8A, Friends of Fitchburg Parks, again, is doubled. It must have been a doubly fun meeting or something. But that's all I have. Does anyone have anything else? No? All right. I guess I didn't take a second. Is there a second?
I'll second the amended agenda.
Okay. Those in favor say aye of the minutes as amended.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? They are approved. Minutes are approved. Any public appearances for non-agenda items? There are no public appearances for non-agenda items. We'll review and approve our agenda. A motion to approve. Anybody?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about the order or anything in the agenda? Those in favor of the agenda as written, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, our agenda is approved. So for item 5A is the Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan Update for 2024. And Anna, why don't you come on up? I'll motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Anna, what would you like to tell us?
Well, thank you for taking the time to look at our EAB management plan update. I just put this document together. Morgan and myself, my summer intern, put this together this year. Every 5 years, we try to give an update to this commission, tree advisory, and council, just kind of what we're doing in regard to managing emerald ash borer. And our strategy hasn't really changed, but the numbers have really changed. So just to make you aware, what we're doing is, we have about, at this point, we only have about 100 ash trees. Well, we have about 300 trees that we're managing, and we treat about 100 trees a year with MMect and benzoate, which is the tree injection. And we treat them basically to keep them around as long as we can, right? But as soon as they start to flag or look not so great, we take them down and try and get them replaced with a huge. We have really worked to have a really diverse palette of trees that we replace our ash trees with. So just one thing that might be of interest to this commission is we're down to less than 15 ash trees in parks, which is not awesome, but it's kind of how it goes. And I know, Sue and Wildwood, we've got the sugar bush that we created, and, in McGaw, we've done all kinds of different things with all kinds of different species we're kind of trying out. So we've really tried to take advantage of that situation and make it work to our advantage. But we are, we're losing our ash trees, and we are trying to slow that down as much as possible. But it is kind of inevitable at this point. And, the numbers kind of speak to themselves. And I will comment that when we got the town of Madison with Southdale Park and all the ash trees there, none of them were candidates for treatment. We've already replaced everything in the park and in that surrounding neighborhood, and we've taken all of those down, ground the stumps, and got those replaced. There are 17 ash trees, in that the area that we annexed that are, on some more industrial roads that we'll take down eventually. They just weren't quite as big of a priority because they weren't in the residential area. But I just wanted to give you the opportunity to take a look at what we were doing from an EAB management standpoint and ask any questions if you had any, or make any comments or voice any comments or concerns.
And what we'll do if the Park Commission is good with this is we'll get a resolution and a referral, and the Tree Advisory Committee has reviewed it at this point, and they're good with it. But I'd like to get it approved by the council, but also it's a good informational update for them. So that's kind of the process.
So once you have the official wording for the referral, does it come back around to us, or
Yes.
oh, okay, all right, it
Well,
will.
I'll refer it back to the Park Commission.
Okay, all right.
And see, if you go in our parks, we have no elm trees, because that in the 70s. I would like to see us be able to maintain these at some point. Maybe the beetle dies out, with all the trees die. I don't know. That's probably not realistic, but it'd be nice if we could, even if it was a dozen trees in the ash, to have them in the city. But I'll leave that up to you.
Well, we're trying to do that in Wildwood. I mean, there's 4 really beautiful ash trees there that really contribute to what makes the park, and we've been really trying hard to keep those there. So we're trying to do that. I think part of our issue is that there's so many infested trees. Beetle pressure is so high at this point. We're really fighting an uphill battle. And like last summer when it didn't rain, that was not helpful. It was really not helpful. Great year for the beetle, bad year for our trees. I will say, though, one thing that is a little bit of a glimmer of hope is I was doing some work in Greenfield Park, in that ditch between the horseshoe pits and the parking lot there. There's all kinds of ash regen in there. There's all kinds of little ash trees popping up. And so I was like, well, they're too small for the beetle at this point. So I was like, well, that's kind of hopeful. So even if they get big enough where they can create seed and reseed themselves, even if we have ash as a smaller, bushier tree, I was like, I'll take it. And to your point, today we were taking some buckthorn out of Chicory Meadows, and there were some elms, that were popping up. So I was like, well, so you kind of never know. You never know, and and maybe we'll get to a point where we can, maintain ash in some kind of a manner moving forward. But yeah, you're right. It's a huge loss. It's a heartbreak all around.
Yeah.
I have a question just because I'm not super familiar with the treatment process. I know that it's all relatively new, so everybody is learning as they go along. But as far as you know, or what you've learned, is there like a finite number of times you can treat a tree? Like I know it's an injectable, so can you only do that so many times before you start risking extra damage to a tree? Have you experienced anything like that?
That's a really good question, and we worked with UW-Stevens Point on that to answer that exact question. And basically, what happens is the tree callus is over the injection site, but if you move just a few inches in either direction, there's still enough vascular tissue that you can inject. So, at some point, we'll probably come to an end of the line with some of these trees because they're just not big enough. But most of the trees we're treating are big enough that we have enough real estate, so to speak, that we have enough ways to maneuver, and we do a 6-port injection. And we could go to 3 and put more chemical in. We've done that if we feel like this tree doesn't have enough. We're not sure about if it has enough good sites, or it's looking at like it's getting damaged. We'll go down to 3 and just inject 3, and then it just takes a little bit longer. But our staff I think they do an excellent job of really trying to minimize damage to trees, and they're committed to these trees because they go see them all the time, and they really do a good job of trying to minimize the damage. So that's a really good question. At this point, I think we're pretty good for the coming decades. But you're right. At some point, we would run out of space. But we've got quite a bit of runway so far. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
At the tree advisory meeting last week, you had mentioned that the staff itself is certified. Someone on staff is certified to do the treatment. So
Yes.
That is a cost savings.
Huge.
To the city to keep them
Huge.
going. And you talked about the staff having an affinity to the trees.
They do.
And we talked about at tree advisory as well that if you're looking around at nature at all, your trees sort of are your friends. I know that sounds really hokey.
No,
but
I
in your own yard or
Yeah, I
your
understand.
park, etc. So the idea that we're helping them hang on for a while, I think, means a lot to
Absolutely.
quite a few people.
No, absolutely. And, and we have in parks, well, we're a little behind, not much. We're maybe 5 or 6 trees behind, but we've really done, I think, a really admirable job of trying to get those trees replaced if we take them down. But those replacements need some time to grow. So I think we've kind of really tried hard to, do a nice job replacing any ash trees we did have to take down, but really trying to maintain as much as we can. I think the problem with a lot of our ash trees in our parks is they were green ash and they were all the same. They were all, I think, the same, not just the same cultivar. I think they were clones of the same tree, and they really had some structural issues, some of them, and some of them were so beat up we didn't have a good, they were so beat up at the base, there was really no good way to get them injected before they got infested, which is why we lost so many of them. But, but anyway, so.
All right, well, any other questions, comments? All right, so thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
If there's anything else, would you like to comment on anything else?
I just wanted to say that I think it's pretty admirable that the city of Fitchburg has been able to tackle emerald ash borer and not had a disaster. We haven't had a wall of wood. We haven't had an ash tree fall on anyone's head. We haven't had a real budget spike, and we really haven't had, the only resources that we get to deal with this is the cost of the chemical and then the cost to get staff certified to inject the chemical, which I think is pretty remarkable. Most other municipalities have brought on more staff, done huge, just done these huge projects, and we've been able to really do it in-house, which is really, I think, pretty remarkable.
It is. Hats off to you.
Oh, thanks. Not just me, but
And the group. We'll pass it around.
yeah, the whole team.
All right, so those in favor of the approving the EAB plan update, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Lovely to see all of you.
Okay, we are at item 6. We do not have anything in that category. Item 7, we have Patrick Cheney. I know you're talking about 7C, but why don't you just come on up now? No, please do. Come on up now. We'll just hear from you. And this is on C is the North.
2024 Park Projects Update.
Yes.
I need to ask up front here if you would allow, and if you would like to, Scott, if you would like to answer some questions that I have in here as I go through the various in here, or else if you don't like that, then I would ask my questions and you'd have to write them all down and then answer them when I'm done.
So you have questions that Scott could answer, but
Yeah.
he'd have to write them down if he doesn't answer.
Only if you want me to do,
Well, how many questions have you got?
I think there's like 5 questions. I mean, there's some of these things I'm not even commenting on, but I'm going to, I have a little bit of comments on a few of these on the list here.
Okay, well, given that, all right, now I understand more. Why don't we just start? We will make our way down. Just stay
Okay,
where you are.
okay.
And we'll start with 7A, Scott, whatever it is you want to tell us. And then as we get to, because you wanted to start with 7C, correct?
Yes, right,
so
right.
Just,
I'm just 7C.
right, sit tight, but we'll go A, B, and then C.
Okay,
Okay?
sure.
All right, go ahead.
The Wildflower Wisconsin Public Art Project, if you may recall back in May, the Park Commission, May of 2022, you approved this project, but with the reconstruction or the redoing of the tennis courts, it was kind of delayed. But they're scheduled to do this project this fall, and they're actually having, I included in your information, a kickoff day or an event on September 7th at 1 o'clock. And then I did include some additional information as far as what actually is going to be included in the display on the fence. And you can see the location, and then they talk a little bit about the mural that they'll be placing there, a little bit about the materials that they're going to use to do it. But just some additional information that I wanted to keep you in the loop on that event. The next event, or the next thing I want to update you on is the Southdale Park. We did do a survey, and this is in regards to the update of the park plan. Now what we did is we posed. what was it, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We provided 10 amenities that we were looking to consider. And basically what I used the draft plan that we had and the amenities listed on the plan, and then we asked the residents how they wanted to rank each of those amenities. And I will say that just to give you a little bit of orientation, blue is very important, green important, yellow neutral. That must be a little bit of a yellow-red, unimportant, and red is very unimportant. And you can see that the residents really, do feel generally the items that we had on the survey and on the plan is something that they're generally in favor of. I will tell you in talking to Lori Mullman, I believe she works with the Planning Forces for Families in the neighborhood, and she indicated too that one of the things that the community is interested in is that switchback path that goes up the hill to the bridge. That that is something that they're really interested in taking advantage of, but certainly there's security concerns and lights and those kinds of things, and then just generally more lights within the park is something that they're really interested in. So I think what I can do is with this information, we had a total of 64 surveys that we did receive. I think I can take from this information, a good understanding of pretty much whatever we had in that draft plan they're in favor of, so we can begin to start to maybe finalize that plan for Southdale Park. So I want to just kind of give you an update on that, and you might be seeing some additional information about those improvements in the future.
Any questions for Scott? I have one, so as long as we're... So on here, and maybe you said this and I just happened to miss it just now, there's 2 survey responses, and one appears to be the primarily Spanish as the first language responses. And it's interesting that they're sort of the same and a little bit different at the same time, but it's all good to have the answers. Yep. And then that my question was about the next steps, that we would be hearing more and more, another draft plan to look at and things like that.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else about A or B? Because now we will ask Patrick Cheney to comment or question that he has on item C.
Yeah, some questions and comments on some of these. The McKee Farms Park tennis courts, I am wondering if the ribbon cutting for August 21st that's noted here is set now, because the signs on the gates at the tennis court just say a date will be announced.
That has been changed.
Oh,
that has been changed. I believe it's, what is the Friday before that? August 16th, and actually I think I just sent that news release off to the Park Commission. So it's like August 16th is what the new date is. We had a conflict with the chamber. They had another event come up, so we've changed that to I believe it's the 16th.
So not the 21st?
Not the 21st, right?
Okay, so
3:30, yeah.
Okay.
that's what did you say, Friday?
That's a Friday, I believe.
Friday the 16th.
And then Patrick's mentioning there's a sign on the court that says "to be determined." Can you get a Sharpie out there and put the date on?
I can do that.
You might get some very happy tennis players.
I stopped by yesterday and looked at it, but the gates are locked because it's not quite done yet.
Yeah.
I saw the sign. Stone and Prairie project. I know that was the bids. First round of bids were rejected last month, and this is going out for a second round of bids. And I wondered if there were any changes to the plans for the second round of bids.
No changes. Just the idea of a base bid and an alternate bid.
Is that different than the first round bid?
It was everything was included. The second round, we're going to have the playground as an alternate.
Okay. Next page, Tower Hill. I did make some comments on this, more details back a couple meetings ago, and I'm hoping that someone wrote them down and remembers. The other point was, at that point, that the commission reviewed that there was no electrical specs given, and I was wondering when that might be available to review.
Well, we're working to get that document put together to get bid shortly, so you'd be able to review it. But I won't bring it back to the Park Commission, but for their review.
The commission won't see that before it goes out
No,
for bid. Okay, I just am interested in electrical things.
Sure.
Drop down a little. It says path replacement in Wildwood South and Mickelson Woods. I've walked around Mickelson Woods all the way around some years ago, and I drove around all the way around it yesterday, and I know that there is no path in there, and this is path replacement, so I'm wondering, there never has been a path through there.
There is not. There's a path on the north side of the woods that connects Fish Hatchery.
Well, there's a large grass area on the north
with the
end.
path that goes through it. Yep, that's
Not through the woods.
No, not through the woods. It's through the grass area to the north.
There's a large open grass area on the north end. The only path, if you can call it that, at the southwest corner is a little bit of a shortcut through a point there, and it's just a shortcut for the apartment or the condo building to get
This is just a replacement of the blacktop path in the north grassy area.
Oh, I think I know what you mean. Oh, that's what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. Path replacement, yep.
So, okay, this
It's
is
not a new path.
because this does a street servicing. So, okay, not a trail through Mickelson Woods. Okay, that's what I was wondering about, because there's no trail in there at all. Park lighting, Sunnyside Park. I would be interested to see the lighting specs.
Sure.
Okay, and let's see here. Well, after those then, done with those listed, but I personally think maybe there should be a complimentary list on this for specific interest of mine for what will not be done, because there's plenty of work to do, keep everybody busy, and there are some things that may not have time for in 2024, even if they are scheduled for 2024. I have a particular interest in a specific project that I've talked against for many years. Because, as I've stated for many years, it's unneeded and wasteful of time and money, and it's not the right kind of maintenance that that particular specific project needs. And if I could ever see it in writing of details of what, like, hopefully is not going to be done, then I won't have to check it every single day. So that's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so backing up for the commission now to the beginning of the list, does anyone have any questions or comments about the items that are listed?
Ballpark, what's the estimated construction schedule, like duration for the hub project?
They mentioned yesterday that Sullivan, the president, was there. He thought what they're going to work to do is to get the building enclosed before fall, so they can work on finishes within the hub during the winter, and then once spring starts, then they'll work on the bike path in the playground and the blacktop. And he mentioned that by this time next year they hope to be completed. So
Go ahead.
I had just a comment about the park, the reshelter, rebuilding reshelter at Wildwood, or Tower Hill, I'm sorry.
Tower Hill.
And Patrick, you'll be interested in this too. You know, you questioned the security camera, and I ran into a number of park employees, over by my Jamestown Heagle, and they related several stories where vandalism had occurred, and they were able to basically identify the kids that did it. And also, they made the comment that by having those, they are not getting, they feel they're not getting the trash. Because they realize they're on camera. And so I would support, I would like to have that camera there. I realize you spoke against it, but I think it does provide some value, Patrick. Just speaking with Parks employees that are dealing with fixing things, and so I just wanted to make that comment that I think we should keep that there. If someone comes and does major damage, if we can catch them, then we have a chance to recover.
And that really is going to be kind of a standard, Dave, as we build these new facilities. That'll be part, along with the security lock doors, and those will just be standard pieces of amenities for the projects.
Any other questions? I have a couple. Backtracking here, where's my page? For the, also for Tower Hill, I had a question. 2020, early summer, it's right here, 2025 completion date, and then my next one, sorry, bear with me, is I live near Wildwood South, and I've never really noticed the Mickelson Woods one because I don't see it when I'm driving there. But how is it determined? What's the process by which a street resurfacing project, do they say, look, we're doing this, and then they ask you what paths are due to be replaced? What happens?
No, actually, Joran goes out and uses the same evaluation program or protocols that they use for the streets and evaluates all the paths. Mm-hmm. So there is a kind of an organized replacement schedule for what is the name of the program? But there's a standard program that's utilized to evaluate the streets, and then he also uses that for the paths within the park system. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's helpful. The other question I had is about what that aren't listed here, and I appreciate all these updates, but where are we at with the Parks and Open Space Plan? And so if you can give us some info on that one.
In the Park and Open Space Plan, we're working feverishly to get it completed. And typically, or in the past, what has happened is the planning department has been a great resource and able to do those documents for the Parks Department. But this year, just like everybody else, they're pretty busy with other things. But we are hearing from the mayor and folks that they want to get it completed. So I'm doing the best that I can to get through that document with some help from the planning department. But we're hoping to get that referred soon, within the next month or two, and get. There was a lot of comments that were received, so there's quite a bit of adjusting to the plan. But that's kind of on the front burner at this point.
Well, and along those lines, one of the questions I have for you too is that there are comments and then there are comments. Some are easy to see that they should be incorporated, but what about things that you hear them and you might think, or I might think, or someone else here might think, I don't think that's a good idea to add?
In that, that's really where I relied heavily on the planning department. They're kind of the keepers of all the different plans within the city. So it's real valuable to have them involved in that process, because they can make that determination, help make that determination of it's really the best spot for this item is in this plan or this plan or this plan. So what the planning department has done is they've gone through and made some recommendations on each of the comments that we received. And now I'm in the process of reviewing all of those comments to see what I'm recommending, and then I'll meet with my with Adam, Mr. Sayre, and we'll decide, which ones should be included in it, and then at that point we'll get it referred out. So it's it's quite a process. But again, that's kind of the planning department has really been a great asset to the Parks Department in the past, but they're busy too. So we're trying to get through it.
And pickleball, what's going on there?
Pickleball, did I not include that on there?
Did I? I mean, I'm sorry, I got myself twisted around with my own notes.
See,
I don't think that one's on here.
oh, mercy. Well, there's another project that we've got, but that actually is we're finalizing the bid document for that. We did do, originally, the estimate was it was more than what we had. So again, we're going to kind of do a base bid and then an alternate bid. And basically the base bid is going to be the tennis courts, the patio, or the pickleball courts, the patio, the infrastructure for the lights. So we didn't quite have enough dollars for the lights, but we're looking to, get all of the conduit run and the footings for the lights in case that's approved in the future. But that too is going to be on the same. Kind of the same schedule that we've got, getting it to bid, and then having a deadline of more in the middle of 2025 to give some flexibility to the contractors.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
And maybe I can wait for future agenda items because there's some other, well, maybe I can mention it right now.
Sure.
The forestry division, Anna is working on a urban forestry grant to be submitted to the DNR. So there's hopefully going to be a resolution that's going to be coming shortly about that to get some additional assistance for the strategic management plan. We also, Anna has the fall tree planting plan. So that'll be forthcoming for the forestry division along with the EAB. So that's a little bit of a report from the forestry division for the project updates.
Okay. So moving on then to staff reports. Does anyone have questions about staff reports? I have one question on the director's report. I saw mentioned Oregon soccer tournament. I'm just curious, where's that going to, where's the location?
That's at McKee, but they also have fields in Tower Hill.
Okay.
Big event. Really big event.
Very nice. And since it's so big, what's the date of it? Do you know? Or was it in the minute? Was it? If you don't, that's okay.
It might be in October, I think.
Okay.
Or September.
That's right. Okay. So, future agenda items. We will at some point, Alder Herbst and I are talking around with some people with some expert information about a Friends of Fitchburg Park, but we're just don't have enough to really say too much more right now. And then for any other future agenda items anyone would like to suggest?
Maybe, Sue, one thing I did forget is Chris is helping to submit an application to a capstone project for UW Landscape. So we'll be getting that submitted too. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
As long as I have Scott here, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up earlier, but there was a resident, he complained, and what he complained about was on the 4th of July, we had one of our interns weed whacking in the circle by my house. And there was a very good reason for that. He was assigned out the splash pad. He wasn't needed. And so the parks official said, why don't you go up there and do that? And the resident was, what are we paying, and this and that. And there's a good reason. And so I just wanted to point out, if you hear, this resident complain, he can be mad, but we were making good use of the resources we had that day. The intern was assigned to the splash pad. It wasn't that busy, but you don't send someone home. He's expected to work that day, and so they sent him out to do some more productive work. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you get a complaint, the resident can be mad, but there was a good reason. We were making good use maybe we shouldn't have had him on that day, but since he was there, they put a productive day of work for him, even though it was the 4th of July.
And that was, he volunteered to work, and you know what, I'm glad to hear that, he was out getting some stuff done, right?
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, well, and if he's
As
not,
opposed to being on his phone like a lot of teenagers would have.
There was, I'll just add, I think a resident kind of confronted him, what are you doing here? And as a young guy, he said, well, I get double time today. and I would ask you, coach your interns to be a little more judicious, but.
Well, and Dave, you, at the council, you guys approved a budget amendment to have the splash pad open. So it's good, that's good PR that they're out there working, right?
Well, I just, residents can be mad. There was, we made the best use of the employee. So I just want to make you aware of that. If
Thank you.
the resident calls you.
Sure.
well, and on balance, the alternative is more residents being upset because they get to the splash pad and it's not been running that day. So, good all around.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other future agenda items that anyone would like to suggest? No, our next two meetings, September 5th and October 3rd. And I will move to adjourn, and who will second?
I'll second.
Okay. Those in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any? Okay, I think we're adjourned, and it's 6:37.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.